It's been 16 years since the first Psychonauts game, but on August 25th, we're finally getting a sequel to the cult classic. That's a lot to live up to, and thankfully, from 5 hours of hands-on time with the preview version of the game, I can tell you this, that it is bolstering with Double Fine's signature creativity, while also tackling some pretty serious topics of mental health with more intentionality than the first one ever did. The result is as ambitious as it is inspiring. So, let's get into it. The story picks up only hours after the first game and moments after the VR sequel interlude, Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin. 10-year-old psychic prodigy Rasputin has saved the leader of the Psychonauts, Truman Zenato, with the help of fellow Psychonaut agents from the grips of the maniacal dentist, amateur brain surgeon Dr. Lobato.
Let's check out those choppers.
The first level kicks off with you entering the mind of Dr. Lobato to find out who hired him to kidnap Truman.
All you need to do is get this vacation request approved by your supervisor.
What?
Once Lobato becomes aware there's agents inside of his head, his dental background starts to protrude through the office walls, quite literally, and it's eerie as it is inspiring. That's gross. The level equally acts as a tutorial, teaching players how to maneuver with double jumps, wall jumping, as well as briefing on returning abilities that players from the original will be pretty familiar with. However, with a lot of quality of life improvements that make them a whole lot better. Telekinesis, for example, now operates more like the game Control, so items nearby will automatically come to you, making it easy to launch it at an enemy. Pyrokinesis forms an area of attack bubble to better visualize its execution, and Psyblast has a cooldown rather than having to collect aggression ammo. All of these improvements actually made this one feel more action-y than the first one, which is a good thing because in this case, it felt tight. It feels refined, especially with the addition of a dodge button. Through Lobato's mind, I encountered mainstay enemies from the first game like the Sensors, but also an array of new enemies like Regrets, flying creatures that carry heavy weights to drop on you. Now, one of the most effective ways to kill these buggers because they're flying is by using the long-range ability, Psyblast. The moment I did that, I was able to pick up one of its weights and launch it right into a sensor, and it was very satisfying. With the introduction of each new enemy, I was conditioned to change my playing style, often switching out abilities to control the onslaught. New enemies like Doubt, sludge-like creatures that can slow you down, are highly flammable, so Pyrokinesis came in clutch. While Enablers support enemies that make foes invincible or fast and agile, requiring the use of Time Bubble, a new ability that temporarily slows an enemy in place, giving me the chance to lay in on the beatdown. The constant introduction of different enemy types, learning their weaknesses, and understanding the abilities on hand offered consistent variety with multiple methods to tackle the situation. Most impressive is Double Fine's interlacing of conceptual design with its enemies, like using feelings of regret, doubt, and enabling as literal interpretations for enemy types. But like the first game, it's not all about the action, but moments of exploration too. In Psychonauts 2, the Psychonauts headquarters, known as the Motherlobe, is akin to the Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp from the first game, a wide and open connective hub-like area. Upon entering the HQ, you're greeted with a towering mural of the organization's leaders, known as the Psychic Six. The room is alive, with agents talking to each other, bustling around, reading books, or having lunch. You can hear the thoughts of some agents while others use their abilities to tend to watering plants or levitate to other platforms.
Hi, I'm sorry. I just hate children.
A brain in a hamster ball is rolling around. Sorry. There's a rat in a leather jacket, and voices reverberate from the PA system. This area is also the introduction to many new characters of Psychonauts 2, including Hollis Forsyth, the no-nonsense second head of Psychonauts, and now Raz's new teacher. And because this is Psychonauts, when Raz goes to class, he actually enters the minds of his teachers, and it's during this moment when you enter Hollis's mind that the game starts to show the depth of his characterization. When Raz is in there, he learns the ability Mental Connection, which can be used to interconnect a person's thoughts or even completely change their mind. When Raz uses Mental Connection to accidentally change Forsyth's mind to associate risk with delight, her mental state begins to unravel as elements of her past as a doctor start to transfuse with gambling.
Oh no! Looks like
Hollis had a spontaneous change in her worldview.
Themes of guilt, fear, and risk are intertwined with old-style Vegas and hospitals, resulting in Raz having to gamble with literal concepts of life and death as a puzzle element to proceed, and in the process, learns more about Forsyth's character beyond her stern and hard exterior. But the most shining example of level design, themes, and gameplay all working symbiotically is Copton's Cook-Off, which is absolutely hilarious and kind of disturbing.
It's
Time
for
Ram it down!
The whole thing is a take on performance anxiety. It's an intense race against the clock to gather animated talking ingredients like eggs, fruits, and meats to boil in water, blend in a blender, or get sliced by a giant hatchet. All the while, using the environment to grind between cooking stations and avoid obstacles like giant cheese grinders or hot plates, all of which was peppered with comical tongue-in-cheek commercial breaks. But in the end, it's a heartfelt and considerate take on a character struggling with eternal judgment and unworthiness amongst his peers.
See, Agent Bull? You can do it.
next one won't be so easy.
But in a continuous clashing of concepts and design, the next level was a complete 180 from the anxiety-induced cook-off nightmare. Instead of the concentrated stress fest of the last level, this one was wide in scope and ambitious in its display of a fantasy reflective of the character's mind that it takes place in. Cassie is a teacher who loves big worlds, storytelling, and literature, and therefore the level itself is big, adventurous, and made up of literal books. For Cassie, her personal problems is that she's had trouble letting go, and for a coping mechanism in her mind, she's created multiple versions of herself that are literally buried in the books she loves.
Cassie, you gotta watch out. There's a giant, you out there hunting for you.
In order to help face Cassie's biggest foe, herself, I had to navigate a fantastical world made up of paper castles, sail on paper-made boats, hop through literal pages, and use written sentences as my platforms to find the other versions of herself. On the surface, Psychonauts 2 is shaping up to be an engaging, ambitious, honed-in take on colorful 3D platformers. However, the most promising aspect hasn't just been returning to its world, mastering its platforms or combat, but peeling back the layers to see what's beneath it, to take a closer look at its characters, the depth of their struggles, fears, and regrets, all of which serve as the foundation and inspiration for the worlds you traverse. And all of that has left me very, very eager to see what it means for the sequel when it launches on August 25th. If you're a fan of Psychonauts, consider checking out a retrospective I did on the first one. You can find a link to that in the description below. Additionally, I did a written version of this preview as well, which you can find on our website at gamespot.com, which has a little bit more detail, as well as some tidbits from an interview I did with the game's director, Tim Schafer, and art director, Lisette T-Tree Montgomery. So again, links below. All right, thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful to you. Till next time, see you later.